Good afternoon, everyone. This is HJames, and I am giving my final report for Innsbruck Corporation, which is where I work. I'm the marketing director there. And given all of the things that we have learned over the last 7 weeks, here's what I'm making as recommendations for organizational design. So Innsbruck Corporation is a resort. It's a vacation community out in Warren County, and we offer several different services and products from real estate and vacation homes. There's an 18-hole public golf course. We have a special event venue where we host weddings and other big, family events and corporational events. And then there's a public restaurant, and then we have our property owner activities facilities. So we have a pool, we've got hiking. It's pretty much, it's like a vacation away from home. And so this is a really interesting study because there are so many different things that are offered as part of Innsbruck's revenue. So we're going to go over strategic planning, structure and design elements, people strategy, and the culture, ethics, and values of the organization. So as far as strategic planning, I believe that a corporate strategic plan should be reviewed about once every 5 years, and then that will help give direction and create goals for each department. And there are a lot of different strategies that we can use to build that plan. As part of SWOT analysis, that I would love to recommend to do that in all of our departments, would start at the top. We would interview our executives to gauge kind of what they're feeling, what they want for the future, what are their big goals and dreams, so that we can apply those to the strategic plan. We will also create an annual survey of our property owners to gauge what they want, what they need, what they feel are areas that we need improvement in, so we have that feedback. And then I'll do a SWOT analysis in each department to help them create goals and tactics for meeting those goals. And then finally, we'll review and revise the vision, mission, and value statements. Because this company was created in 1971 and there has been some leadership turnover in 2018, it's going to be about time for them to start looking at whether those values, that mission, and that vision are the same as it used to be. But starting with the executive interviews, I would like to interview both the chairman and the president. This organization is unique in that it has 2 CEOs. They're partners, they grew up at Innsbruck, and then they work together. However, because they're 2 different people, they have vastly different ideas and perspectives and knowledge and experience. So working for 2 different CEOs as my boss can sometimes get confusing when I don't know whose direction to follow. So what I'd like to interview them about is to discuss what their goals are for the future of the organization, what they expect for growth. Do they want to maintain or do they want to grow and develop? And then we'll perform a SWOT analysis from a high-level view, meaning from their perspectives as executives, they're not down doing the nitty-gritty dirty work. They are working on strategy and execution of the operations. So having their perspective to begin with would be really a great idea. And then we'll review the vision, mission, and organizational values with them, because really that's where it all starts, is what they want for their organization. And then moving to the annual residence survey, this is actually something that we already do and have done for years. So it's an annual web-based survey that we send out via email to all of our property owners. And they tell us a little bit about what they think about the resort, what they think about the community, what they think about our restaurants, what they think about the quality of activities that they get as part of being homeowners. And then from that data that we collect, we create a report and we submit this to our leadership so that they can review and see what the residents are saying about Innsbruck. And are they going to share that information with their friends and family? Are they going to be our biggest cheerleaders? Because ultimately that's what we want. So the next thing I would do is a departmental SWOT analysis. And I had started doing this with a couple of our departments, but hadn't made it all the way through yet. So what I have done is I met with department heads and any of their key staff to identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to their department and to their goals. So we take a minute and we discuss what exactly they do. What is it that you do here? What can they do? What can they not do? What can they do better? What would they like to do, but they haven't tried yet? What is the competition doing? What can they do to change and grow the department that supports organizational growth? And then from that, I will compile the results and report that to the department leaders and then also to our CEOs. Something else that we talk about in our SWOT analysis is whether there is a plan for crisis. For instance, we are in a pandemic right now, and currently Innsbruck did not have a plan for how to communicate, how to operate throughout this crisis, which it really is. So we had kind of had to just feel our way through it. So creating a plan specifically for organizational crisis and what to do when is going to be really important moving forward too. We need to look at our vision, mission, and values and try to understand whether those still apply. The organization began in 1971, so things have changed over the last 50 years. Have the values changed? Should our old value statements be updated? So what goals can we create based on this update? So moving on to structure and organizational design. I have applied the STAR strategy for this design because really if they're going to assess which model is going to be best for them, we need to look at all of the facets. For strategy and structure and the processes of lateral capability and rewards and people, we need to make sure that there's, number one, no confusion in decision making. Right now, we as an organization are experiencing a lot of that. Myself personally, because as a manager, I'm not empowered to make decisions on my own without checking with the CEOs, or at least it seems that way. And unfortunately, I have two different bosses who have two different perspectives. So one thing that I would recommend is to create some vertical empowerment from manager to manager, and what can we make decisions about and what can't we? Does the organization have a competitive advantage? We need to look at our competitors. We need to look at whether the departments are working well together. Is there lateral cohesiveness? Or is there knowledge sharing that's happening across the different departments? Right now I'm finding that sometimes yes and sometimes no. Turnover. Because we are out in Warren County, the pay is not quite as high as it would be in the city. So it's difficult to draw out talented managers with low pay. So one thing I would recommend is that they invest more in their management, because the current demographics in Warren County are going to be more of your tier B and C players. Are employees satisfied and leaders empowered? That is another good question to ask them. And does each goal have a tactical plan to measure by? One thing that is my beef with them right now is that they don't have goals that are communicated to their employees. We're just trying to do our jobs day to day as they had kind of always been done. So without a goal of, okay, we need to sell 27 homes this month. I can support that goal with what I do, because I can quantify what I do. If I'm getting leads from the internet, I can say to my boss, well, you know what? We sent you 10 leads this month. What did you guys do with them? So there are ways to track those things within the tactical plan. And that's something that I would definitely recommend that they do. As far as people, I have recommendations for people and rewards. Excuse me. Our people strategy, because Innsbruck features a divisional hierarchical structure for leadership and employees, the way that they do their hiring could use some help. As far as employees are concerned, I think they should be looking for cross-functional players, especially in the roles that people take on at the restaurant, on the golf course, in maintenance, security. There's a lot of different things that those people can be doing. So it's not just a pinpointed professional role. Non-management employees can be sought for in the local area. One thing that I would recommend to their HR department is to create an onboarding training for all new employees for sharing of organizational knowledge and history. The organization has been around 50 years, but a lot of people still don't know that much about Innsbruck. They have preconceived notions about what Innsbruck is. And so I think having an onboarding training would help that out greatly. Providing competitive salary and benefits is also really important. Another thing that they could do is update their employee manual, because that hasn't been done in a few years. As far as management is concerned, one thing I see managers struggling with out there is whether they actually have authority to make decisions, and what kind of decisions can they actually make. They need to align management choices with their values and organizational needs. I would recommend that they seek management talent outside Warren County, because the demographics of the county are such that fewer people have college degrees and education to support a management role, so they may not have the appropriate experience for managing people. Something that they could do is involve managers in the onboarding training of new employees as well. Salaries and benefits must draw qualified candidates to the area. Because there's not a great large talent pool in Warren County, the salary and benefits must be an incentive to bring people out here. And it would be nice if they could solidify the decision-making power for their managers, so that their managers can feel empowered to make the decisions that they feel is right for their department. As far as culture, ethics, and values, here are some recommendations for those. It would be great if the organization could revise and then write their list of value statements that would align with their vision and mission, and then evaluate behaviors as acceptable or unacceptable based on those ethics. I would recommend that they visit with stakeholders to gain understanding of what values are most important to both leaders and residents. Create descriptive statements for each value that they decide on. They should evaluate rules along with a strategic plan to ensure that things are being followed. And then they should check for unethical behaviors and correct them. I know Innsbruck really likes to be socially responsible, but there's not a solid plan in place for that. So that's one thing that I would recommend to them as well, is to create a plan for those activities that we know are going to happen from year to year. And then we need an alignment of the culture in all departments. One thing that I would also recommend to them is to create a visual pattern, a visual for employees to put up in their different departmental areas and buildings as to what Innsbruck expects from its employees and what Innsbruck's residents expect from our employees. And that's all I have. Thank you for your time.